That's the spirit.
Hey campers, George here. Kind of an overcast, rainy, miserable day in Minnesota. The shock and horror. And I just couldn't stay inside any longer. I needed to get out. So I thought I'd just come down to a favorite place that's been closed for a while. And it's still closed. But I have access to their covered portal here. So I thought I'd go and sit underneath there and make myself something to eat. And try out my new mess kit that I'm going to be using in my Kayak backpack. And see how that works for me. So I'm going to do that. Something I wanted to share with you while I'm doing that, while I'm cooking. I'm going to share something with you that a subscriber asked me about. And that was, on my Kayak I have an anchor and trolley system. And she would like to know more about it. So I figured while I'm here cooking myself a meal in the rain, which is getting worse, I would share that with you and go through how it works and why it's so handy to have when you are on water fishing and you need to stop somewhere, you're in a good spot and you don't want to be floating down the river, or the wind is blowing and you want to turn your kayak around, and without having to pull your anchor up and fiddle with and that sort of thing, the anchor trolley helps you by moving the anchor automatically and turns your boat for you into or away from the wind if you want to be facing away from the wind, sideways to the wind, that sort of thing. One of my favorite accessories for my Hobie. So I thought I'd share that with you, and in the meantime, while I'm doing that, cook myself something to eat.
Started raining even more when I left the truck. But we're here, so let's get on with the meal and anchor trolley system. Using my Kayak backpack today. This is the waterproof one, and because I wanted to try out the kit for it, I thought I'd bring it along and see how it works. Hopefully it's keeping everything dry. Okay, let's get everything out of here. Piece of bread, food bag, dry bag, the new kit. I'll put links to everything down below. This is the new kit that I did a video on. And what else do we have in here? And some water, and the nesting cup. Something to cook with. What else? I have a rain jacket, my GoPro, things bag, and a rolled up top. So we're all set. Oh, emergency radio, my weather radio, and my water purification kit, and the top. There you go. Put these back, won't be needing them, he says. So let's cook. We have a stove. And what do we have to eat? Campbell's tomato bisque, condensed, hence the water. Some veggies. All I brought was some peas and some cauliflower just to put in the soup, give it some lumps, and some bread. By sheer coincidence, I just happened to bring my StanSport cook stove. This is the low profile one. I've done a review on it. Like I said, I'll put links there below. But it works great, and it just so happens that my cook kit, StanSport as well. It wasn't planned. Something I talked about in the video was to stop things from rattling, you need to put something in there to stop the stuff inside from rattling. So talked about putting a cloth in there. It fit perfectly. This is just my cooking cloth that I have in general around in my cook kit. And you can see it keeps everything nice, stops it from rattling around. So it works. And of course I have my folding utensil kit that I did a video on as well, which happens to fit in there really nicely, all folded up. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook some veggies first. So I think I'm going to actually put them in the pot. Oh, maybe not. Look at that. Doesn't fit. This is really small. You'd have to figure that one out. What do? You improvise. We go to this. Barely fits. Wow. That's disappointing. What are we going to do now? I have an idea. I think I brought a spare stove with me. Let's see if we can find that. Oh, there it is. Probably well suited to a very small cook kit. This guy, remember him? The tiny little cooking job? Let's see if that does the job on the small little stand sport. So there's the little BRS from, I think it's called Hammond's. Tiny little thing, micro camper job. I couldn't believe it actually worked. No leaks. Does the pot fit? Perfect. We're cooking. Big lighter, always the first option. I know better. Surprised this didn't light it. Getting a good flash out of it, so who knows. That copper bottom is kind of slippery. You have to be careful. So let's get the veggies in. Oh, I forgot. After dinner treats. It's starting to rain more. So what we're going to do is put the lid on, which will hopefully get it warmed up quicker. The nice thing about a cab tin, you don't have to cut it open. Our utensils. Rain's really coming down now. Woo! So while that warms up, wow, warming up already. Amazing what that little stove will do. So while we wait for that to cook and I get everything ready, once this is warmed up nicely and everything, what I'm going to do, hopefully you can hear me over the rain, it's really coming down now, is I'm going to put this condensed tomato bisque in, stir it all up, quick cup of soup with some extras. In the meantime, Here's a look at the anchor and the trolley system. Hopefully. Okay, so let's have a look at my anchor and trolley system on my kayak while my lunch is cooking. There's a couple of things you should know. Although this is my favorite accessory for my kayak, you need to understand that it is also one of the most dangerous things you can have on your kayak. One of the reasons is if your kayak anchor gets hooked up and you can't really get it off the ground or whatever it's hooked up to, and you're in fast flowing water, all of a sudden for some reason, maybe you're on a river and suddenly you have a heavy current come down, whatever the situation, gets really windy on flat water and you're stuck, you need to understand that if you can't release your anchor, you're in a dangerous situation. It's probably going to pull your kayak down and you're going to flood your kayak and sink. So that's something you need to keep in mind. When we have a look at my system, I will go through some safety things that you should look at, and these are things you should pay attention to. They're really important. Other than that, this is the best accessory I have and something you should consider. Just be aware of the safety issues with it, and if you follow safety, it's no problem. Now, if you go online, you'll be able to find a lot of anchor systems out there with trolleys. And the one I purchased was from ACK, which stands for Austin, Canoe, and Kayak. And that's these guys right here. And you can go online and find them, just ack.com. And they have a ton of accessories for your kayak. I would recommend them. They have a lot of options and their service is excellent. So I did purchase this a long time ago when I originally bought my kayak, and this is the system that comes in a bag, and you can see the ACK thing on the bag there. You can even see ack.com. So it comes in the bag here, and the system is basically made up of a couple of parts. So let's go through those right now. See, here is my anchor system out of the bag, and you can see here I have the anchor, and this is a 3.5 pound anchor, and we'll get more into that. And then a float, a cable keeper, a carabiner, and then this guy, which is part of your safety system. The anchor, as you can see, ties onto the bottom of the anchor. It's part of the safety. You tie it on here and you bring your line up through here, and as you can see, I have right here a cable tie holding it. It's a very small, not very strong cable tie, and that is part of my safety. If your anchor gets caught in the ground or on weeds or on a log or on a rock or something like that, if you give it a good hard tug, it'll break this, and the anchor will then be pulled here, which will give you a chance to pull the anchor out from a different angle. Hopefully you free it. If it doesn't, you have another safety. The other thing is you have this collar, and if you look here, you have a little hole there, and what you're going to do with your collar is you line up the holes. This lifts up and the fins of your anchor drop out. It's just a storage option. You drop it in, these will catch, and you're all set. So you can pack it up, slide the collar down again, and get it all lined up with those holes, and there it's set and ready to be packed away. So that's the anchor, and then I have a float. If for any reason you need to release your anchor, this will give you a chance to go back later and find it. Hopefully you'll be able to see the float, go there and pick up your anchor, and you've saved yourself a couple of bucks. Then I have right here a cable keeper, and this just ties on like this, and it just holds the cable nice and neat, easier to handle. On the other side, I have a very basic carabiner, which is just a quick release thing. Then I have this guy. And on the end here, what I've done is I put 2 cable ties to make a loop, taped it up with some duct tape, just to make it fairly smooth so it's not going to catch anything as it passes through. More on that, and we'll cover that bit there. This length of rope is about just over half the length of my kayak, and I'll show you that and you'll see why. So here's that piece I was talking about that you need to be able to slip through something really easy. And what you want it to slip through is this thing here. You don't want this catching on anything when it slides through, which is part of your quick release system. So basically, I have this rope, and like I said, it's about just over half the length of my kayak. On one end, I have the loop with a non-slip setup, and you can get those heat shrink things you can put over and melt it on there, which is probably a better system than I do. I should do that. And on the other side is just straight through, nothing attached to it. What you're going to do is you thread this through this little thing here on your kayak trolley, and then you're going to attach it with a quick release knot. Very important that you have a quick release knot. The one I use is very basic, and I'll show you that. But if you have a favorite quick release knot, use it, practice it, make sure it works for you. So let's have a look at how we do that. So I have the end here with nothing on the end. And what I do is the handle on my kayak here is where I tie off on. And I use a very basic quick release knot. Simply put it in there, go around once, twice, double it over, and tie it off with a half hitch. Just like that. And that is strong enough to hold my anchor. To release it, this end piece, I just pull on it and it comes right off. Very important. Find yourself in a bad situation, your kayak is being pulled down, your anchor is stuck, you're in fast water, whatever the reason, heavy wind, it's going to tip your kayak and pull it into the water. So remember, a quick release knot here. So we'll put that on there once, twice, double this over, just like that, and make a half hitch. Pull it in, make sure you have a little bit of free for your quick release. Make sure it's nice and tight, right there. So that's good. And then, hopefully we can see this, it goes down here and through my trolley loop. So now you can see how it goes through the loop. The reason for having all this stuff on the end of this little loop is you don't want any reason for this to catch anywhere. It needs to slip through there easily. Part of the safety. So you put that through, and then on the other side of my anchor, I have my carabiner. So I'm just going to hook that to my carabiner, which goes to the anchor. Put your anchor in the water, however deep you want it, drop it in, hits the ground, catches on, and you're set. Now, suddenly you're in heavy water, your kayak's being pulled down because your anchor is stuck. Give it a good tug, it doesn't release. Go to your quick release here, pull on it, and what's going to happen is it'll come straight out, release you, you can carry on down the water, no problem there. Hopefully get safely to the edge of the water or whatever and get out of your situation. Hopefully when you come back, you'll find this floating and you'll be able to recover your anchor. That is the basics of your anchor. Now the trolley system is this guy here. And when you purchase your anchor and you're buying all this stuff, you want to get a good trolley system, something solid. I believe this was part of the kit from Kayak. All came together. It was an option to buy it all. If not, you buy them separately. You have to mount them yourself, and it takes a little bit of screwing into your kayak and that to fix everything onto it. So let's have a look at that. Now the whole purpose of the trolley system is to allow you to move your anchor all the way from the front, anywhere along the side of your kayak, to the back. The reason for that is it allows you to position your kayak that is comfortable for you, where you want to be facing when you're fishing or for whatever reason you stopped and anchored. If you anchor on the back of your kayak, the direction of the water flow is this way, or the wind is that way. What's going to happen is it's going to force your kayak on the end of your anchor to swing around, so that when you're sitting, now I sit here where this crate is, so that my back is facing to the wind or against the direction of the flow of the water. So it'll swing my kayak around just like that, where that's the front. If I move this to the front of my kayak is now going to swing around this way. The wind direction is this way, the water flow is that way, my kayak swings around, I'm now facing into the wind or into the flow of the water. Same thing happens if you move it to the middle. If you move it to the middle, and I don't recommend this, I find it certainly in flowing water, not a good situation. So if you do that, you secure it to the middle, your kayak's going to turn around and sit that way, where your flow is that way, side on to the flow or the wind. What's going to end up happening is your kayak's going to tip a little because of the pull of the anchor and the flow of the water, and you're basically going to have your kayak sitting at, if you think of a T, it's the top piece of the T across the flow of the water. And obviously anywhere else along here you choose to make it will cause your kayak to go to a different position. That's the main reason I use it, and it's simply because I fly fish. And I want to be facing with my back to the wind, things like that. And there's a lot of fly line everywhere and everything like that. I don't want it getting caught up because of wind and things like that. That's why I use it. So that's the basics of the trolley system. Mounting it, you have a pulley on one end and one on the other. Takes 2 screws, you screw it in, make sure it's solid, it's holding on tight. They do come with the hardware. And then you have this piece in the middle, which is just a guide for the top piece of the loop. The bottom piece goes underneath there for storage. You have another guide here, smaller one, close to the front. And the same thing back here. This here is the anchor point of your trolley and your anchor. Your anchor rope goes through there, and what it allows you to do is you simply pull on the rope and your anchor moves to the back, and you pull again, and you can move it all the way, he says, just like that, to the front of your kayak. And you can see here, I go through my cable keeper, the float, and then to my anchor. And that's the basics of an anchor and a trolley system. So that's a very quick look at the anchor system and the trolley. And I cannot stress this enough. Be aware of the dangers of being caught in a situation where your anchor is anchored, you're in high wind all of a sudden, or the flow of the river you're on suddenly picks up really bad, if you can't release your anchor or pull it up quickly, you're going to be in trouble. You'll be in the water and lose half your stuff. Not a good situation. So be aware you can do this and release it quickly. The whole point is quick release. You don't want to be fiddling with your line to try and release your anchor when you're in that situation. So there you go, all set up, ready to go fishing. And if you practice your safety, shouldn't be a problem. Be comfortable with it, make sure you practice and you are comfortable with it. I'll put links below to different things that hopefully will help you find what you're looking for. There is a ton of information on the internet. YouTube has a lot on anchors and how to set up your trolley and safety. Remember, when you're on the water, always wear your safety jacket, your personal flotation device. Always have one on you. Whether it's law or not, you should have it on you just for your own safety. You never know what's going to happen out there. So there you go. Put any questions you have in the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you have any tips or anything I should be knowing about, please in the comments. And I'm starving, so I'm going to go eat.
Oh yeah, we good. Add some tomato. This. There you can see, maybe a little bit more water. Bring this up to a quick boil, and then we're ready to eat. While this is cooking and I'm a little peckish, I thought I'd have the first part of my three-part meal. And that is mandarin oranges that you can just drink out of the cup. But because I'm not a complete heathen, we'll use the fork. Good. Cheers. Let's see how we're doing now. Yep, we're ready to eat. You can see that. We've got cauliflower, peas, tomato brisket. And if you're wondering what the piece of bread's for, I just throw it in there. But what I'm going to do, I do want to try it out, so I'm going to use this plate thing. Throw my bread in there, and on top, goes the soup. So hopefully checking out the anchor and the anchor trolley works for you. If you don't have one, you should really think about getting one. For me, like I said, probably my most favorite accessory for my kayak. Very handy. And they're not really that expensive and make a big difference to you down the water when you're fishing. I'm going to eat my late lunch, pack up, head on home. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. And I'm pretty sure I'll be back with something else when I'm hungry again. Just saying bye. Ooh.